Some claim that is why her name was removed from genealogies, not through forgetfulness, but to prevent it from being reduced to a cold record. At the heart of this decision was a sense of mission that outweighed any human curiosity. It is impossible to ignore the parallel with what Jesus said in John 17:6, "I have manifested your name to the men whom you gave me out of the world." That manifestation was not about speaking sounds, but revealing character and mission. The nameless child, in a way, carries the same logic in reverse, not revealing the name in order to protect the mission. This contrast explains why, throughout the centuries, those who knew of her chose to keep silence as one guards an invisible treasure. The Cave of Treasures, a Syriac apocryphal text, tells that some secrets are buried in places where only those appointed to them may enter. It is likely the story of this child was treated the same way, hidden not in a place, but in a specific time. This makes her more than a historical enigma. She becomes a prophetic marker. When her name comes to light, it will be a sign that certain spiritual gears have begun to turn again. And so, her story lives on not only in texts, but in hearts that feel a strange longing for something they have never known. It is a longing that speaks of purpose, of destiny, of a promise yet to be fulfilled. And if, as you hear this, you felt a tightening in your chest or remembered something of your own still waiting for the ripe moment to bloom, perhaps it is time to write in the comments, "I too keep something in silence." Such a gesture may be small, yet it connects to a mystery that has already spanned millennia. In every generation, the absence of her name stands as a reminder that not everything needs to be spoken to be real. Silence can be more powerful than any premature revelation, as in the words of Habakkuk 2:3. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come. It will not delay. And it is in this tension between delay and certainty that the nameless child remains, untouched, waiting for the moment when the veil will be torn. Ancient prophets reported seeing a small light that could never be extinguished in their dreams. The Book of Esdras, Ezra 14:26, speaks of revelations given to the wise at the end and hidden from the rest of the people. Some scholars believe one of those secrets was the identity of this child. In certain Ethiopian traditions, she is referred to as the covered lamp, evoking Matthew 5:15, where the light is not placed under a basket forever, but only for an appointed time. These accounts suggest that, even veiled, her presence was felt in the spirit of those with eyes to see. Dreams recorded in 4th century Coptic manuscripts describe a childlike figure surrounded by a field of silence, where even the wind seemed to stop. The dreamer would awaken with a racing heart, unable to recall her face, yet certain they had seen what cannot be told. The similarity to passages such as 2 Corinthians 12:4, where Paul speaks of inexpressible words that it is not lawful for man to utter, suggests that the experience transcended human language. Such dreams were interpreted as signs that the time of the veil had not yet ended. Among the Qumran scrolls, in 4Q534, there is a description of a boy whose appearance is like that of the sons of God, who will be great upon the earth, language reminiscent of Luke 1:32 regarding Jesus, yet which some ancient rabbis applied to other prophetic figures. This strengthens the theory that, across various spiritual streams, there was belief in a child preserved for a specific role in future restoration. Her story appears in scattered fragments, like pieces of a mosaic never shown in full. In the Apocalypse of Abraham, a Jewish apocryphal text, there is a scene where angels show the patriarch the shadow of what is to come, and among them, a small one who shines in the dark. Although no name is given, the image aligns with the symbolism associated with this child. Light in the midst of absence. This recurrence suggests that even separated by centuries, different authors glimpse the same archetype. It is as if all touched, from a distance, the hem of the same mystery. Oral accounts preserved by Aramaic communities in northern Mesopotamia tell of a traveler who dreamed of a girl handing him a seed, saying, "When the silence breaks, plant it." Upon waking, he found a small stone in his hand. This story echoes Revelation 2:17 about the white stone with a new name written on it. For these communities, the stone was a symbol of personal promise, something not to be lost. Some medieval visionaries, such as Hildegard of Bingen, wrote of a child hidden in the folds of God's mantle. While the Church interpreted these images as allegories of Christ or the Church, some see in them the same figure preserved by hidden traditions. The similarity of descriptions, despite no contact between sources, strengthens the idea of a spiritual reality crossing the centuries. In the book of Enoch, 8:46, Enoch sees one like a son of man surrounded by angels, and beside him another small one whose glory was like that of the elect one. This distinction between two figures is intriguing, and has led some commentators to speculate about the presence of a prophetic helper preserved for the final times. Perhaps this child is that other small one, not competing, but fulfilling a complementary role in the redemptive story. Eastern Christian tradition also speaks of dreams where Mary, the mother of Jesus, appears holding not only the child Jesus, but another child wrapped in linen with her face covered. These accounts, gathered in Armenian monasteries, are treated as mysterious visions whose meaning has not yet been revealed. The veil over the second child's face is always described as whiter than snow, Kaf, Mark 9:3, symbolizing absolute purity. In all these visions a pattern emerges. The child does not speak her name. At most she offers symbols, a stone, a seed, a veil. This symbolic language is the same used by the prophets to protect deep truths from unprepared ears. It is as if each vision were a password, and only those who receive more than one over a lifetime could piece them together. Many who have heard these stories speak of feeling a tightening in the chest, as if something ancient were being called back to memory. It is not uncommon for listeners to become emotional when these accounts are shared, without knowing why. If, as you hear this, you too feel something within you recognizing this story, perhaps now is the moment to leave a like as a silent sign that you too await the day when the silence will be broken. This gesture, small as it seems, is like a spark joining countless others in the wait. The boldest prophecies claim that when this child is revealed, the world will not see only a face, but a mirror. Those who encounter her will see reflected the purest and most forgotten part of themselves. This may be the greatest reason for the extreme care over her name. Revealing it too soon could awaken hearts still unprepared, and instead of bringing healing, bring confusion. Thus, the visions continue to appear sparsely, like drops before the rain. Each generation receives a few dreams, a few signs, just enough to keep alive the flame of waiting. The time of the veil has not yet ended, but the number of those who have seen grows silently, and perhaps when that number is complete, the name will finally be spoken, and all that is hidden will be brought to light. Luke 8:17. The Book of Jubilees, H1:26, records that certain secrets were entrusted to angels to guard until the day of the restoration of all things. Some scholars connect this idea to the destiny of the nameless child, suggesting that she is not only protected by human silence, but by an active spiritual guard. These keepers, invisible to ordinary eyes, would be responsible for ensuring that any attempt at premature revelation fails. It is as if heaven itself had stationed sentinels on the path of anyone who came too close to the truth. The Apocalypse of Peter mentions angels of shadow, who hide the vision of certain elect until the appointed time. This image is strikingly similar to legends preserved in Ethiopian monasteries, where it is said that messengers turn the eyes of the curious away when they approach a sacred place. It is possible that somewhere there exists a physical location tied to the memory of this child, but if it exists, it is under constant watch. The logic is not secrecy for vanity's sake, but the remedy that can only be administered when the patient is ready to receive it. Among the Qumran scrolls, 1Q27, known as the Mystery of Existence, contains the phrase, "He will be hidden from the eyes of the wicked, and his name will be kept among the children of light." This is one of the most direct references to the active guarding of a sacred identity. The text does not specify who he is, but the context suggests a figure destined for a singular role in the last days. The connection to the nameless child is not forced. The pattern of concealment and waiting is present in both. In Kabbalistic tradition, there is mention of names being clothed with layers of other words, making them impossible to pronounce without the revelation of the correct keys. This practice echoes the logic behind the disappearance of the child's name. Finding it is not enough. One must be worthy to speak it. It is like the Shem HaMeforash, the explicit name of God, which, according to the Talmud, could only be spoken by the high priest in the Holy of Holies once a year. The same reverence seems to have been applied here. Certain Sufi Islamic traditions speak of the Ism al-Azam, the supreme name, whose correct pronunciation can change destiny. While they do not identify the child, the idea of a name not freely shared reinforces the universality of this spiritual principle. The power of words, especially names, crosses cultures, as if it were a knowledge that never ceased to exist, only changed its garments. There are also medieval records of monastic orders that called themselves Brotherhoods of Silence, dedicated to guarding a future revelation. Documents found at the monastery of Mount Athos describe nocturnal gatherings where symbols, not words, were shared. The name was neither written nor spoken, only indicated through signs understood by the initiated. This preserved both the secret and the expectation of one day passing it on. Some mystics claim that those who encounter the child in dream or vision feel an immediate profound calling, as if they had found something lost. This instant recognition is described in the Gospel of Thomas, Logan 84. When you see your reflection, you will rejoice. The child does not reveal her name, but awakens in the other the memory of who they truly are. Perhaps this is the first part of the revelation. Before knowing her name, you must remember your own. In some stories preserved in Georgia, there is talk of pilgrims who searched all their lives for the one who cannot be named, only to realize in the end that the journey had shaped their very hearts. This narrative aligns with what Jesus said in Matthew 7:7, "Seek, and you will find," indicating that the search itself is part of the promised gift. The name is destiny, but it is also the path. This active waiting creates a quiet tension. It is like living with a sealed letter in your pocket, knowing it contains words that could change everything, but that can only be read on a marked day. Many who know the child's story describe feeling exactly this, the certainty that something is coming, without knowing when or how. And if, as you hear this, you recognize the feeling of carrying something you cannot yet open, perhaps it is time to write in the